Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So this video is later than planned. Normally I get these done early afternoon. It's quite late in the evening now, it's 11:30. So I imagine a lot of people will see this on Wednesday. It's the handicap mark changes video. Who caught my eye? Most weeks it's just horses that have dropped in the handicap. This week we've also got a few in here that have gone up in the handicap as well. But let's go through those. My pen has run out, which is terrible. Okay, the first horse I want to talk about is the mare Getatonic. Now, she was a good winner for us after possibly being a bit unlucky at Doncaster. I thought Bridget was very keen to hold on to Getatonic for as long as possible. And I thought Harry Skelton did kind of a similar thing. He really didn't want to get after Getatonic. I do still believe that I don't think they feel that she quite gets the 3 mile. They look to have found an easy listed race at Doncaster. Didn't quite work. They looked to have found an easy handicap at Ayr. It did work. I think we'll see Getatonic dropped back in trip next time. And I'm hoping they put her away for the season now and come back next season. There's a few handicaps that they could go and try and win on the way back up to listed company. The two that really would interest me, this 2 mile 5 at Wincanton, it's 13 grand for it. Winhouse won it last year. Getatonic actually beat Winhouse at Ayr for 13,000. Let's just have a quick look at the Ayr race. What was that worth? That was worth 15. So anything around there, I think is a race worth going for. And then she could go to the Close Brothers Mares Hurdle at Cheltenham in the December, and then could be looking at the Mares Hurdle come Cheltenham Festival. I don't think she'll be good enough for that, but if she's won those 2 races en route, one picked up 28 grand-ish, then she's had a good season. That's where I think they should do with it. Obviously, the 2.5 at Cheltenham would feel further than that because of the course layout, and yeah, I think I've got a feeling they're going to drop her in trip. She only went up £3 to 133, so I don't think another win is beyond her at all. The second horse I wanted to talk about was Voiderev, who has dropped £1 to 134. Now, Voiderev, for me, isn't quite good enough to be winning these feature handicaps, especially as he is... How old is he? He is now 10 years old. He's not going to win the top class feature handicaps, in my opinion, but I think they might target another one. Dropping to 134, I think this is where we might see him next, in the Galway Hurdle. A possible other race that he could be targeted at is the Swindon, the 2 mile handicap at Haydock. In May. It's not normally quite as good in terms of quality definitely not than the Galway Hurdle, but it's still got good prize money. For me, I think if they want to win a race, they go to this one. The Betway Summer Handicap Hurdle in July at Market Rasen. It's over 2 mile. I'd be, really quite sweet on Voiderev. If Voiderev had run in this race last year, he would have won. I'm quite confident of that. The only one that's come out of this race to actually do anything since is Camprond. The rest they're not good enough, or they're not as good as Voiderev is still showing he's good enough to be. So that's where I think he should go. I would send him to the Summer Handicap. They might look at the Swinton, but I think they'll run him in the Galway Hurdle. Talking of the Galway Hurdle, also I definitely will be interested in for the Galway Hurdle is Milkwood. He dropped £2 to 148 for his first run in however many months that is. 7? First run in 7 months. They hadn't quite got him ready for Cheltenham. He would have definitely needed to run. He hadn't run for 181 days. And that should put him much fitter next time. He ran second last year in the Galway Hurdle off 147. He could turn up off 148, and I think it would go really, really well. I liked the form of the race that at Ayr. Surely that's where Neil Mulholland runs at Milkwood next. And yeah, as I said, I wouldn't be against Milkwood in the Galway Hurdle. You can see I've loaded up the Galway Hurdle race. Beakstown was another of our winners, and he's gone up £6 to 135. Now, normally, I'd be saying, especially as he hasn't won for so long, I'd be, completely knocking Beakstown. But I think they found a really good race for him at Ayr. It was what I thought was full of exposed horses. And you do occasionally get those, and that's where I'd be interested in Beakstown off this 135 mark. If they can find another race, potentially, soon, that isn't packed with unexposed horses and doesn't really have a huge amount of prize money, if they can look for 15 to 20 grand prize money races rather than the big feature handicaps where there's going to be a well handicapped horse in it, I think Beakstown can still win off 135. I actually think, although he won at Ayr, Harry Skelton went a bit too soon. I think he wanted to kick away, try and win it, and put the race to bed, and I don't think he actually quite did that. I think if he'd been a little bit more patient on him, kicked away maybe at the second last, I think he would have, after the second last, I think he would have won more impressively and gone up more than £6. But it's all about finding that race with horses that don't really have a lot in hand of the handicapper. Very often he's been running in races at Kempton. There was Captain Orr, Kitty's Light and Rillo. At Cheltenham, there was it Tornham Frayed or Imperial Alcazar? I always forget which race he was in. There's always those types of horses that he's been running against as a second season novice. It was Imperial Alcazar. So I'm not going to give up on Beakstown off for 135 off a £6 high mark. I'll be looking at the race particularly to see, is there anything that's ahead of its mark or very well handicapped? If not, Beakstown would certainly come into the equation, depending on where it was, obviously. If it's, a 4 mile race, then probably not. So don't give up on Beakstown, keep an eye out for him. But then move on to the Scottish National. Win My Wings won it. Kitty's Light was second. Win My Wings went up £14. £14 to 154. And if the jockey actually doesn't get the ride next time and they put like a professional jockey on instead of the £7 claimer, he's going to be £14 higher. No, he wouldn't. He'd be £21 higher. Sorry. He'd be 20, or she would be £21 higher. That would take some overcoming, regardless wherever she runs. And I thought Win My Wings would go up 12. She went up 14. I thought Kitty's Light would go up 4. He went up 2. That is really interesting. Just going up £2. I thought that was very lenient. And only up 2 to 145. Now, the Grand National at the moment, I believe, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, I think 145 is the lowest handicap mark to get in. And if it's the same next year, you wouldn't want Kitty's Light to be right on the cusp of getting in. You'd want a few pound to play with. And they could do that by running in the Bet365 Gold Cup. But I just wonder whether, I would be so much more convinced with Captain Orr, who wasn't beaten far. Captain Orr did go up £2 on collateral form. Kitty's Light ran really well. Beakstown won. I do believe they're going to run Captain Orr here, but you can see what's happening in the market. It's clear that I'm guessing Chambleur is going to run. And Chambleur could be so well handicapped that a well handicapped Captain Orr can't even go with Chambleur. I highlighted this race yesterday and I suggested that Captain Orr, in my opinion, wouldn't be the best handicapped horse in this race, but he would be if he ran in the Bet365 Gold Cup. And that's quite... it's quite a big statement considering, I'm almost saying that maybe Christian Williams is going to run him in the wrong race, which for a trainer who's had a 1-2 in the Scottish National and in the Coral Trophy, I think it's called, at Kempton, the Handicap Chase, I think what he's done with those horses is brilliant. But you can still make mistakes. Everyone can make mistakes. And I just wonder whether it's going to be a mistake taking on Chambleur. I think Captain Orr's going to go really well. I can see him beating all of these. Can he beat Chambleu? That would be my concern. If they ran in the Bet365 Gold Cup, who would the big dangers be? Well, Kitty's light, but as I said yesterday, he would be. Now he's gone up £2. He went up 4, 16, £14. £14 better off of Kitty's light for about 3 lengths. I think Captain Nor should be there in the market on the basis that he might not run. I think they've got it right. Unibet have got it right. They've only got him at 10s. As if he turns up there, he is well handicapped, and I think he's better handicapped than Kitty's Light, despite me thinking Kitty's Light is really, really well handicapped. But anyway, I think he's going to end up in the Betway handicap chase, and I think he's going to go well. It's whether he can beat this exceptionally well handicapped Chambleu. Continuing on with the handicap changes, ASO dropped £5 for finishing 5th at Ascot, that right-handed track. Before Sandown, Venetia Williams said ASO doesn't really like going right-handed. And he pulled up. Okay. And then he went right-handed again to Exeter. And then he went right-handed again at Ascot. I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. And for a 12-year-old, with a 12-year-old, I tweeted this out and people suggested that maybe they're trying to get him handicapped for something. He's 12. I don't think you try and get a horse handicapped for a race at 12. I honestly don't know what they're doing with ASO. There was a race at Newbury the following week after Ascot, a veterans handicap chase that was for more prize money. It would have been a more suitable race for him, and it was left-handed. I think they've made a mistake with ASO and they've lost their way a bit. Moving on, there was 2 more horses, and both of these actually ran on the flat. And one of these is a surprise one. Iconic dropped £1 to 55. I think a 55 rated horse is well handicapped. Potentially, crazy, but he's rated 128 over hurdles. Just want to check it is a he. It's not. It's a mare. My apologies. She's rated 128 over hurdles. Now, this run here at Lingfield, I thought she ran okay, and she finished 6th, only beaten 2.5 lengths, over 2 mile. Now, for a horse who hadn't run for 483 days, over the 2 mile trip, you could kind of expect that horse to finish, 8, 10, 12 lengths, tailed off sort of thing on its comeback run. She wasn't, only beaten 2.5 lengths. She's actually rated 128 over hurdles. She's a much better hurdler. I think there is a race to find with Iconic, and I'd be very interested in her next time in a lowly race like this. 2 mile trip is okay. I think maybe over hurdles they might want to step up in trip, and maybe slightly down in trip for Iconic on the flat. Maybe 1 mile and 6, and then I'd be very keen on Iconic. I haven't actually found a race for her at the moment. The final horse I want to talk about, also ran on the flat, is Sea Sylph. Sea Sylph was last seen finishing 6th at Leicester over 1 mile and 4, just short of 1 mile and 4. She got absolutely no run that day. At a crucial time, she was travelling quite nicely, looked like she was going to go for a gap, and didn't get the run. Now, she dropped £1 to 84 when 2 runs ago she went off 7-2 for a listed race. They really like this Sea Sylph. And I think her handicap mark doesn't reflect her true ability. I think she's better than that. And I think with that run now under her belt, that was her first run for 170 days. I think Sea Sylph can go close in a similar race. Maybe stepped up slightly in trip. With that run under her belt, she's very interesting for me. So there's a few horses that I'm interested in going forward. Getatonic maybe for next season in mares handicap hurdles. She can drop in trip, and I think she can win off her current mark. Voiderev, I want to see Voiderev at Market Raisin. I think he'll run at Galway. Milkwood, I do want to go to Galway. I think he can go really well in that. Beakstown, this is all about the race type. If it's a poor or there's no horses in there that are unexposed or potentially very, very well handicapped, then Beakstown can certainly win off his new 1-5 mark. Win My Wings, Kitty's Light, and Captain Or. I want to see Captain Or in the Bet365 Gold Cup, not at Aintree. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Kitty's Light goes to Sandown, and he should run well, and he can go close. It will be out of Kitty's Light and then Rillo when we get to that day. ASO, I don't know what they're doing with him. Iconic, keep an eye out for her wherever she goes next. I think she's better than her 55 mark. And C-Sylph, in a handicap, when she gets a clear run, I think she can go very close off her handicap mark of 84.